they will illuminate. Once they extinguish, then it is time to send it. Here we go. Through the start chicane. No cones were hit. It's on. Let's send it for the first battle of our 2021 season. Matt Field initiates. That Falcon Tire Drift Cave Corvette comes in tight. Nerren overshoots, goes towards the kitty litter, and Matt Field will continue on through the course. And just like that, we see our first victim of the quicksand. Speaking of quick, as he makes his way through, and looks like we will see a yellow flag. But Matt Field does continue on through the course and then shuts it down. So that will be an automatic kind of advantage towards Matt Field, Ryan.
Yeah, I just want to point something out. It's going to be relevant for situations like that. When we have a course that crosses over and drivers are coming back down, if the driver that spun out in the chase position is in an area where they are going to be too close to the driver coming back down, so in this case Matt Field, they will flag him and tell Matt to stop drifting, and that's what happened there. If the driver is in a safe place, the lead driver would still need to finish the run, but it's all going to be determined by the judges and by the safety staff up here about whether or not it's safe for that driver to continue the run. So Matt did the right thing there by shutting it down. He got flagged, so he didn't need to finish the run. It will be an incomplete in the chase position for Nerren, and now Matt Field has a strong advantage going into his chase run.
Yeah, Needle is going his way, but it seems that unfortunately for Nerren, that those binding issues came up. He says just when he went to go transition, it just would not come back, so it would bind up. So I know he's feeling a little down on himself, but this is just new car woes, and he kept it, in the gravel, stayed pinned on it, so he didn't get stuck and didn't want to bring all the gravel back on track. So unfortunately for Nerren, he does have that deficit that he will have to make up.
There's a better look at it from the FPV drone. You can see that front end just washing out for Nerren. Unfortunately, not able to be much of a factor here against Matt Field. Field, look at this, even in his lead run, driving pretty close to his qualifying pass that he had yesterday. And then right here is where he notices that the flags are coming up, and so he shuts it down. We will get the next guys up as we clean things up and get, I believe Nerren may possibly call a competition timeout here. Did you hear anything over the radio?
No, they just said they're going to advance on, so I would have to assume, it would be in his best interest to call that, so I believe we're just going to go ahead and advance on. Was there a competition timeout called on Nerren's behalf? Okay, so yes, a competition timeout was called. So we are moving on to Chelsea Denofa and Taylor Hull. Chelsea Denofa and Taylor Hull, as Taylor Hull lives right here in Georgia, so he's a Georgia boy. I talked to him in his autograph session yesterday. He says, this feels so good. I'm so glad to be back, driving on big courses. He's been having some fun down in Florida, but at Clutch Kickers, but here he is having some fun on a big track with just, the best of the best. So Taylor Hull, the progression of his vehicle, really excited to see what he has in store for us. He was having some troubles yesterday. His wife is a spotter, and she was telling me that, trying to get it together. But Chelsea Denofa, as I said, a lot of seat time in the off season, a lot of seat time. Vaughn and the RTR team, they are constantly busy drifting, ripping, gripping around the country and the world. And, Chelsea Denofa even has his school of drift that he teaches students. So a lot of seat time for Chelsea.
Yeah, and let's see if it pays some dividends here. It's hard to get much better than second place in the championship in a 2020 season, but let's remember, Taylor Hull had a great year of his own last year, broke into the top 10. So this is going to be a tough battle in either direction. We get to see for the first time how these drivers have prepared in the offseason and what they look like in head-to-head competition.
Also keep in mind that Taylor Hull was on a previous tire manufacturer. He switched from one from last year to this year, a different one for him. So as Taylor Hull, and we are getting clear to send, and Hull is ready to throw down that comp cams. He is on Nexen Tire Yellow Speed Racing Cadillac ATSV from Sonoya, Georgia. Chelsea Denofa will lead with the gold nose. That BC Racing Ditto Tire Ford Performance Mustang RTR Spec 5D for drift. Coming to that first clip, nice job by Chelsea Denofa. Taylor Hull, he's tracking him down, pulling away up the hill. Chelsea comes into that second outside zone in the keyhole. You can see Taylor Hull compromising that distance to that outside zone and gaining that proximity. Is that what the judges are looking for? And brings around that last clip. Good transition. As I said, Chelsea, a hard act to follow, Ryan.
The judges do want to see drivers make adjustments and changes if they find themselves falling behind, even if that means sacrificing some of the criteria, because we do need to see close tandem. So we'll take a look at this again. Taylor Hull was starting to fall behind a little bit. Denofa really getting out of the gate well. You can see that big, long e-brake pull, but he gets back on the throttle much earlier than that first inside clip, and that's acceptable from the judges. Here's where we start seeing that gap develop. Hull, I think smartly here, cuts the line to gain proximity, so he's sacrificing one little bit of criteria to gain it in another area right there by getting proximity through inside clip number 2. You can see the closeness between the two drivers is pretty good, leaving the keyhole. Denofa gets back on throttle, maintains a great line coming down the hill, and you can just see how much smoke we're dealing with overall coming through the smoke line that they put down as they were going up the hill, and then through the finish, a little bit of reduction of angle there for Hull right before the finish line overall. But now we get to switch things up. Denofa will go to the chase position, and Taylor Hull will take the lead.
The wind is nice. It obviously feels cool, and it clears out that smoke, so it's not lingering here in the daytime. We'll see how it goes. Last night, the wind died, and the smoke became a factor, became not so much an issue as previous years, but obviously it does impair the vision of the drivers.
Oh, yeah, it can get crazy in this bowl. I mean, it's very wall-esque sometimes.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh, yeah, just a smoke bowl.
Yeah.
Yeah, wall, it just sits there like a bump on a log. Here we go. Taylor Hull out front. Denofa in the chase position. Look at that gold nose just getting to the backside of the Intimidator. Full pole Hull looking clean. Chelsea Denofa comes in a bit shallow. Taylor Hull throwing some gangster angle at it in that second outside zone. Coming through the keyhole. Chelsea tracking him down. Oh, gets squirrely, Chelsea Denofa. You saw him dip that front left tire off course, throwing him out of sorts. Ryan, was Chelsea being potentially a little too aggressive there in the chase? Looked great.
Well, it's going to be a matter of the overall sacrifices between both drivers, and then also looking at their leads, where as a lead driver, you're unencumbered in the front. How did the lead run of Taylor Hull compare to the lead run of Chelsea Denofa? And then the sacrifices that were made in the chase by Taylor Hull, how did they stack up to the sacrifices that were made by Chelsea Denofa? Good distance relation between both of these drivers, so that indicates that Denofa is following like a moving clipping point. During this section of the course, he doesn't cut it. He stays with him, keeps the angle pretty approximate there to Taylor Hull in the lead position. Right here, you can see Denofa does go off course. He gets a little bit out of whack there and gives some back to Taylor Hull. Here's a better look at it. You can see 2 tires off out front with that right front just glazing the grass there. And then this last section, he does hit that inside clip through the finish line. Here it is again from the overhead, and you have to imagine what's going on inside the minds of the judges. They're looking at those 2 lead runs in their mind and said, you know, are the lead runs even? Is it going to come down to the chase runs here? Or is there another distinguishing overall factor in the lead runs that may give an edge to one driver over the other? Looks like Hull is doing his job as a lead driver. He's getting out to the sections of the course, and this is where Denofa had a little bit of a tough time. The first part of the course, Denofa did pretty well. He was tight on inside clip 1. He followed him up the hill pretty well, but leaving the keyhole got a little bit adjusted into that transition going down the hill with that little grass section right there, and you can see he drives basically 2 tires off there in the front. Was able to save it, does a good bit of defensive driving there, but then as he transitioned back around, he hit that final inside clip.
Yeah, is that, I mean, I'll tell you what, the drone perspective has absolutely contributed immensely to judging and everything. And all right, are the judges showing what we have? Do we have a verdict? All right, so we do not have a verdict. The judges are, it's a tight one here because mistakes were made on both sides, Ryan. As you said, you know, here it is again. And this was with Taylor out front. See, as you said, Taylor doing the right things. I think Chelsea did a good job here, a little bit better than Taylor did on the keyhole, because if you recall, Taylor came in shallow, compromising, going deep on that second outside zone. But this is where it gets ugly for Chelsea. Dips 2 tires off, but not so much the tires going off, but how it disrupts the vehicle and the attitude and throwing off his line, especially on that last clip and taking it out. So, you know, did those mistakes offset kind of the shallowness of Taylor Hull? You know, there was a bit of distance between Taylor and Chelsea, with Chelsea in that lead position.
Well, and you know, it's you and myself and Lorette. We've also got Judge Ryan Lantain that can speak to us about these results as they come in. We've also got Chris Yule and Brian Eggert that are returning judges. So this is our panel as they scrutinize, take a look at replays, try to evaluate the things that were said, in the drivers' meetings and come up with a consistent result here that they feel that they can justify. So obviously no quick answers here, and it does look like we have results in. Just getting some things situated here.
Yeah, finalizing details. Yule, I feel like singing Soldier Boy all of a sudden when I say Chris's last name. Yule. What do we got? Lantain throwing on his headset, getting some insight. And is there a verdict? You guys all inputted yours, Ryan?
Yeah, we did all input, and you can see them going up.
Oh,
on the
one more
screen now.
time.
Yeah.
And look at that. It's OMT across the board, so it's a one more time between Denofa and Hull. Ryan, over to you.
It came down to the amount of cheating from both drivers or compromises that they made. They were mostly made in the chase position. Both drivers did a pretty good job in the lead, but it came down to the chase positions, and Chelsea dropped 2 tires minimum, it looked like, exiting the keyhole, and it was just a little bit too much for us to give him the win. We told him in the briefing that we would rather see a driver cheat a little bit and then get back online quickly, mimicking the line and the angle of the lead driver, but they have to do so while remaining within the confines of the track. And if they start dropping tires and hitting cones, then that's going to be a bit of a problem. So in this case, Chelsea did cheat a little bit. Taylor did cheat in his run, chase run as well, and that's where it came down to kind of seeing cheating from both of them.
Right.
Cheating's the wrong word.
Yeah, I was gonna. Can we
compromising?
Thank you. That's because there's no cheating going on, but compromising,
yeah,
cutting the line.
Yeah, we always call it cheating because you're cheating compared to what the lead driver's doing, right? You're cutting some corners and you're taking a different line that is more. It's easier for you to maintain proximity when you're doing that, and we say that we want them to do that, but very quickly and shortly, and then remain on the same line and angle. So that's where we're at right now.
Compromising line. Let's get rid of the word cheating because people might just have that stigma of
right, that they're cheating and they should be disqualified. That's not the case here.
No.
It's just
cheating the line is slang if we're just amongst us fellas.
Right, yeah. So
all
compromising the line and the angle.
Copy that. All right, so it was unanimous. One more time between Hull and Denofa as we go back to the Nerren and field battle. Nerren called that competition timeout as he found himself in the kitty litter early on, again, having those binding issues. Ryan, this is when it comes into play. This is where it gets tricky. Nerren said he had the worst drifting he had yesterday. He goes in the kitty litter on his first run. Now, if you're Matt Field, I'd kind of pedal back, man. I'd kind of take it easy given what you've seen, but you don't want to give him too much room because then it would be kind of an inactive chase. But looks like Nerren's put it together now, but is this too little too late? Matt Field, the beast in the bay, chomping at the bit. Jonathan Nerren doing really good right now into that second outside zone, but Matt Field knows he has an advantage. He's going to keep it close, and there he goes. Nice past that touch-and-go area, and then in and around that final front flip, Ryan. With Nerren making that mistake, if he had 2 runs like that, we'd have a dogfight on our hands. But unfortunately for Nerren, going in the kitty litter, why am I talking so many animals here? Don't forget to spay and neuter your animals. Here we go. Look at it again, Ryan.
Well, one of the most challenging things as a chase driver is understanding when you should attack and when you should lay back. And this is a perfect example of trying to find that happy medium of both things, because obviously we have Nerren that has an incomplete, but as easy as it would be for a driver in the chase position to lay back, Matt Field also wants to be able to put enough pressure on to not even question the call, but also to make sure that he doesn't get out of rhythm as a chase driver. And so this is another, I think, argument in the favor of Matt Field and his progression as a driver here. He surged at the right moment, kept good proximity on, didn't allow himself to get too far back, and made a really good showing of it here after the competition timeout.
All right, I believe we know it's going to be unanimous. Unfortunately for Nerren, it looks like his day is done. But looking forward to seeing him in Orlando as Matt Field, the beast from the Bay, cool, calm, and collected. He comes up lucky 7s across the board and gets the win and advances on. Who he's going to go against? TBD. So there it is. So again, Ryan, right out of the gate, we see Field and Nerren go at it, and it seems that the cool, calm, and namaste right here, says Matt Field.
Well, last night, we were saying that as we get through the field, we're going to kind of understand where everybody's at. And as we start to get through the head-to-head matchups, I think we're going to also see some themes start to develop. Last year, we didn't have a merit-based system to get people into qualifying in the same way that we've had in the past.
Right.
Now we do have that, and so the matchups that we're going to see here, are going to be matchups that are deserved based on how you qualified. And I think that is going to make for a better overall show, but it's also going to pair drivers that are at the current moment competing at the same level.
Okay.
So we are looking forward to this top 32 and how it's going to play out, but we are also expecting that we're going to see some great battles.
Yep. Speaking of great battles, look at these vets. Ken Gushi, a day one, or Justin Pawlak about a day two-er, year two, I believe it was, late 04 or early 05. We saw JTP, Justin Pawlak, and Gushi, I would say, smoother driver. Justin Pawlak has this kind of just punch you in the face kind of attitude. It got him in trouble yesterday on his first qualifying run, pushed him to the late 8, and he had to fight to get into qualifying or get a score on the board because he had it incomplete on his first run, and then he throws down a 95. So quite a contrast from 0 to hero, but obviously the highest he could qualify was that of 25th.
Yeah, he came into the drivers' meeting this morning or early this afternoon and basically said run number 1, he had some vehicle malfunction issues, vehicle problems. So obviously that was not representative of him in his full capacity, but it makes it a much more interesting top 32 for all of us now because he's going up against number 8 qualifier Ken Gushi, who also looked very strong yesterday.
All right, so number 8 qualifier going against Justin Pawlak, who very well could have been, in the top 5 if he didn't have those car issues, and we are ready to send it. Ken Gushi, ready to throw down. He's operating his own team this year, that Gazoo Racing. Ready, Toyota Supra, and of course the Falcon tire. Look, we get a cone, we get a restart here. All right, we'll find out exactly what happened. It does seem like a restart. Gushi came to a halt. Okay, so we are hearing that is not a restart. The attitude of the vehicles looked like, oh, lights went off, they came to a halt. We're hearing from Ken Gushi's spotter that he needs a competition timeout. Oh, what a bummer. So that Gretty Gazoo Racing, Toyota Racing Supra of Ken Gushi, that will be a deficit. That's like him going to the kitty litter. That is a run. He pulled away from the line.
It's a competition timeout about 15 seconds too late.
Oh, boy. Oh, well, that's just how it goes, man. What a bummer. So here it is. Clean start. No cones were hit. Didn't jump the light. Everything's good. And all of a sudden, oh, no. Right? And then Ken Gushi comes to a halt, and as does JTP. So we are finding out from Gushi's team. Competition timeout is called. And that means he'll have 5 minutes to assess anything going on with the car, see if it can get repaired as we take our NGK competition timeout. NGK, in addition to providing spark plugs for domestic and import vehicles, NGK produces spark plugs for motorcycle, power sports, marine, and outdoor power equipment. NGK also offers complementary ignition product lines, including ignition coils, resistor caps, spark plug wires, and high-performance cables. For reliable performance, trust NGK, the ignition specialist. Visit ngksparkplugs.com to learn how NGK is redefining the category with high ignitability technology through its ruthenium HX spark plugs. All right, as we are overlooking Ken Gushi in his pit, Ryan.
Yeah, and as the competition timeout plays out, just to remind all the fans at home, basically what happens there is each team or each driver gets 1 competition timeout per weekend. And a competition timeout is equivalent to up to 5 minutes to fix your vehicle. The time does start as soon as you put hands on vehicle back in your hot pit area. And so that is what we're seeing for Ken Gushi's team. But as you rightly pointed out, Jared, it's going to be really a big uphill battle for Ken Gushi because he will now have an equivalent of an incomplete or a 0 on one of his runs due to the fact that he left the line and it looks like the car had some problems. So we'll be moving on here to our next pair of drivers and come back to figure out what's going to happen with Ken Gushi.
Yeah, see if he can even get the car back up in running order. Yoshihara, a former champion, a veteran, going against, 3rd or 4th season here for Kazuya Taguchi, now lives in Los Angeles, California. 2 Japanese drivers. and what look to be very similar vehicles are farther from the truth. You know, you got kind of the JDM build, and I mean, Yoshihara, JDM driver, you know, right-hand drive, but with a turbocharged LS under the hood. So quite a contrast here. So Kazuya Taguchi, brand new vehicle. He's driving that Toyota 86, and Yoshihara is actually a Subaru BRZ. So Yoshihara will lead. He qualified better than Kazuya Taguchi, as Yoshihara qualified 9th, and Taguchi qualifying 24th in that up garage, bright yellow GT radial Toyota 86. All right, looks like we are sending cars. Again, that comp timeout being called by the Gushi. We'll go back to that. And remember, we have our Denofa and Hull battle with them one more time. Yoshihara leading. Taguchi in the chase position. What do we have? Yoshihara initiating. No further than that 3-2-1 cone, and Dai brings it all the way around, gets into the dirt. Taguchi right there. Was there contact made? I definitely want to take a look at the Air Force instant replay. Into the keyhole, into that second outside zone. Taguchi drops back a bit as Dai brings it around and out of the keyhole. Past the touch and go, dragging their bumper right and hovering over that gator strip and across the finish line. I want to see that initiation from a couple different angles there, Ryan. That was pretty interesting.
Well, at first pass, it looks like both drivers had some issues. Dai went a little bit long coming out of the initiation, and Taguchi angled up extremely big here and almost lost it. So it looks like some mistakes by both drivers there. Very luckily that we didn't see a contact or collision that became apparent right there on the touch and go from coming down the hill. And as you can see right there, Dai almost getting that second rear tire into the kitty litter, which would have been really problematic, and it did slow down Taguchi, but obviously the judges are accounting for all of this and making those adjustments. Now we start to see the battle come back into play here. Good job by Daijiro Yoshihara getting to that second outside zone. Taguchi keeping the pressure on as they wrap through this inside clip and then come down the hill here. And as we surge forward through that big cloud of dirt that was popped up by Gushi getting into the kitty litter, we can see this last and final turn as both drivers finish up the run. So a little bit hairy out front for both Ken Gushi and Kazuya Taguchi, and something for the judges to think about. Almost looks like to me it was kind of independent in terms of the big angle from Taguchi and then Dai going off course. So it may be two potentially equal mistakes.
Funny thing you did there is you called Dai Yoshihara Ken Gushi.
Did I really?
Did.
Thank you for that.
You did, but I'm not rolling you, but it's only a running joke between them as well. So yeah, here's that initiation with Yoshihara, the turn 14 distribution, Falcon tires, BRZ. So you see him initiate. Again, no later than that 3-2-1 cone. I mean, Dai had great angle there, but just too much. And we've seen that from a lot of the drivers, even in practice. You know, we saw it from Adam LZ yesterday qualifying. That forced him to going to the late 8th and getting that second run in order to get a qualifying spot.
I think maybe the judges can shake their head. Were they looking if there was any contact? Were you guys looking for any contact there? Is that what you were kind of going for? Or? Got it. Okay. Here we go, second half of the battle here, Jared. Kazuya Taguchi out front in the lead position with Daijiro Yoshihara chasing him down.
All right, Taguchi, Yoshihara, that is right, Ryan. That is Taguchi and Yoshihara. No, Gushi just went, Ryan, just to clarify.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, just want to clarify.
What, did I do it again?
No, you didn't.
Because last year you broke my ball. You broke my bees about Eves and Rome at Seattle. You kind of just kept going. Didn't know if you were doing that again.
No, I won't. It's done. It's done. It is done. All right, so there was an official restart cone, or was a cone hit, or did they jump the light? A cone was hit. There's Sopa on Europa, keeping it clean, making sure nothing dirty slips past him. And you see it right there. So that is strike one. This is the only thing that we implement of a traditional stick and ball sports.
A few cobwebs getting kind of brushed away here, yeah. I feel like, for some of the drivers. Maybe some nerves.
Yeah.
Right? It means everything now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, a lot of pressure. Again, round one, Atlanta, just a really cool track. Some of these guys seeing it for the first time, because last year we weren't here. We're here since 2019, and here we go. No cones were hit in the making of this run. Taguchi up front, Yoshihara in the chase position. Let's see how they initiate. Taguchi, a slow roller into it. So you talk about that rate to angle, Ryan. Not super fast, but does get to it. And Taguchi, very fluid, coming to that second outside zone, gets out there, just dips the toe and doesn't, and then, look, he did that yesterday in qualifying as well. Got to that second outer zone, but then overshoots that inside clip. Now past that touch and go, good job by Taguchi, shredding that back bumper as they bring it around that final clip run.
Well, it's worth noting that there are two obvious passing areas at this course, and as we know, a pass can only be done on an inside clip. So you've got the one at initiation and the one in the keyhole here. But let's take a look. A much better start by both drivers. Not the most aggressive initiation from Taguchi, fairly conservative. Dai Yoshihara tucks up on the inside, trying to gain that proximity coming up the hill. And we know how hard it is to get the timing right into the keyhole. But Taguchi does a really good job getting into that outside zone. He does leave it a little bit early, but right here, a critical mistake by pushing way too wide. And that's where the connection between coming up the hill, the horseshoe, and that inside clip all come into play. And unfortunately, he does have that mistake. Daijiro Yoshihara smartly was able to avoid any problems of a pinch moment at coming out of the keyhole or after the inside clip. And our poor cones are getting absolutely hammered there. But now we've seen the succession of these two laps, and the judges will tell us, so we can find out who's going to be moving on to the top 16.
Moving our way through top 32, we only have one driver that has advanced. Again, Denofa and Hull we will go back to. And then Gushi called that competition timeout with just barely rolling off the start line, so that is an absolute bummer for him. And here is our side-by-side instant replay. The BC Racing custom coilover side-by-side graphics, the official suspension of Formula Drift. Go for gold. Two great-looking vehicles here, Ryan, and here it is, the side-by-side. Always love this perspective, love this view, because you really get to kind of look two places at once.
Yeah, getting a good look at it here side by side, kind of seeing on that initiation. The judges talked about that quite a bit and requested a number of different replays. I have to imagine that's going to play a big factor in the overall result. The second run on the right-hand side was a little bit cleaner. We saw that mistake from Taguchi. And I think it's going to come down, like a lot of these battles, to the weighting of the overall mistakes. Did the mistake that Dai made on initiation, didn't have any way that you could tie that to what happened to Taguchi.
Look at this, Taguchi gets, I believe that's Chris, and look at that, Kazuya Taguchi gets the win. Lantain, going over to you, it is unanimous, so Kazuya Taguchi gets the win. Dai just messed up on initiation, huh? There, hold on real quick as we pop in here with Ryan Lantain, our judge. Ryan, let me give you a little check there. Good? Check. All right, trying to get some insight here from Lantain as Taylor Hull and Chelsea Denofa. Are we good now?
Are we good now? Yeah,
I think we're good.
Yeah, it came down to Dai's mistake at initiation. He overshot after inside clip one, decelled considerably in that area, dropped a tire. That's not an area where you're allowed to slow down on the momentum map, but he did drop the tire. Taguchi did an amazing job of adapting behind him, stayed drifting, transitioned actually before Dai got off the dirt. It was pretty incredible the way he placed his car, was very patient, and was able to continue through.
And Taguchi had a good run, but that mistake just, from outside zone 2, he did that yesterday in qualifying, from zone 2 inside the horseshoe on that front clip. He overshot it.
He did overshoot it there. He managed to get through the run pretty safely. Dai did follow him through there, but we just figured that we saw that mistake that Dai made, and it was pretty big, so it was hard to overcome that.
Right on. Thank you. All right. Thank you, Ryan Lantain, one of 3 judges. Chris Yule, Brian Eggert, and Ryan Lantain are 3 judges. Now, this is a full poll. One more time, we'll see a full poll. Hull can take down Chelsea Denofa, 2nd overall in the 2020 championship. As Denofa qualifying 16th, Hull qualifying 17th. So fairly equally matched here. A shimmy there from Hull as he initiates. Oh, man, kind of overshooting it, giving him bit off a little more than he could chew there on initiation. Now coming up the hill is Chelsea Denofa. to that second outside zone. You can see a large gap between them. Chelsea could be a little bit closer on that front clip. I mean, Taylor Holt just coming now into view. And Chelsea looking pretty dialed there, Ryan. Wasn't a 100-point run out front, but just let's take a look at it again.
One of the most difficult things to do on this course is maintain pace with the lead driver if you don't have a good initiation that sets you up appropriately to get in the pocket and on the same line. And you can see here Taylor Holt pushes a bit too wide, and because of the amount of grip and power that Denofa has in that vehicle, it even magnifies that problem even more. You can see once that happens, Holt has to kind of reset here, but Denofa's gone. I mean, he is already entering the keyhole as Holt is just coming up into the middle of the uphill. So Denofa out front with his lead run is something that we'll take a look at when we look at the second half of this battle in terms of how Taylor is able to match and mimic that. But as far as the chase run is concerned, Holt has put himself at a disadvantage here that Chelsea can take advantage of, because his spotter can tell him, look, hey, he didn't have a good chase run. This is what you need to do to get the win.
Yeah, very unfortunate there for Taylor Holt. You saw it just grasping for it and trying to play catch up. And it's not about how quickly you go through the course, but you have to hit those clipping zones, hit the points, hit all the necessary criteria. I have a feeling Taylor Holt's really going to throw it down. He knows he has an uphill battle here. And knowing Chelsea, he always turns it up. So taking out, not totally center punching that first inside clip is Taylor Holt now into the keyhole. Really good execution there. Get all the way out to that outside zone. Now coming back down the hill. Let's see how Taylor manages this. Pass the touch and go. Chelsea, look at that. Taylor in that comp cams. Cadillac ATS-V really throwing it down. You know, again, just a brand new tire there. He's on Nexen tires, the Yellow Speed Racing Cadillac.
Yeah, and credit here to Taylor Holt on this second run, really laying down and putting a lot of effort and speed into this second run to try and use all the track in the way that it's supposed to be used, but try to get away from Chelsea Denofa. Try to force it one more time, try to force Chelsea to make a mistake. Now Chelsea Denofa was able to keep the pressure on for the first half of the course. He kind of let Holt pull away on the second, or Holt was able to pull away from Chelsea on the second. But I think the mistake that was made by Taylor Holt was significant enough that just that little gap towards the end there is not going to be enough to override it into Taylor Holt's favor. However, this is a strong lead run for him. Great job here overall. And this is where you can see Holt really starts getting on it, pulls a little bit of a gap here towards that last section of the course. And it looks like just ran over that inside clip there, but overall pretty good lead run from him.
Okay, as we are waiting the outcome here. And you can see those two hot rods waiting in the wings. I mean, fans all the way up there on the start line in the start grid area. Everybody emphatic to get back here in the building, form the drift. Live here from Michelin Raceway, Road Atlanta. Look at the tents, the flags waving. Oh, love it. So the winner of this battle between Denofa and Holt will be going against Matt Field. So Matt Field waits in the wings. You can see the comp cams. Edelbrock, Nexen tires, Cadillac ATS-V, Liqui Moly on the side, Yellow Speed Racing suspension, and then the Ford Mustang of Chelsea Denofa, BC Racing. Oh, hey, also, if you're here in the building, make sure you stop by the RTR. They got a party in the pits at 5:45. You can go the Fun Haver Pit Party at 5:45 here in the building. All right, waiting for the verdict here from Ryan, Brian, and Chris. All right, looks like the scores are in. And you can see Justin Pawlak there on the other side. And here they are. Slide him left for Denofa, right for Taylor Holt. Whoa. That is incorrect. That is incorrect.
That's not right.
That is not right. That is incorrect. And just want to clarify to the judges, Ryan Lontaine, obviously computers, sometimes they're friends, sometimes they're enemies. Everybody's had a little bit of grace during COVID, right? Zoom calls getting all glitchy and all that. Yeah, so Ryan, just wait. We're going to turn on mic too. There we go.
Yeah, we're going to blame it on the sun shining on our iPads up here, making them hot, overheat. You know, they're not really responding the way they should. But yeah, Chelsea Denofa did get the win on that one. For me, it came down to the way that Chelsea came up the hill, filled outside zone 1, used his amazing speed and momentum to get all the way up to outside zone 2, filled it one of the best ways I've seen yet from beginning to end of outside zone 2 with a high degree of angle, and then got down to inside clip number 2. When Taylor was leading, he did not really get up all the way to outside zone 2, left it a little bit early, wasn't as deep, and then dropped a tire on the exiting the horseshoe. And I think the big one was coming up the hill, dropped a tire and hit inside clip 1. So made a few mistakes and just wasn't as aggressive and planted as, and really positioning his car the way we wanted to see. We talked in the driver briefing about that outside zone 2, and Chelsea did it exactly as we said it.
Right on. Well, thank you for your insight. And of course, so the visuals did not depict the outcome. Chelsea Denofa unanimously gets the win. Chelsea Denofa moves on, and he'll be battling Matt Field in the top 16. All right, we're going back to the second half of this battle. Unfortunately, Gushi rolled off the start line, shut her down, called the comp timeout. And now Justin Pawlak with the advantage, and Ken Gushi with the deficit and minus a comp timeout. That gritty Gazoo Racing Toyota Supra, and Ken Gushi changing tires again. He's jumped around on quite a few different manufacturers over the years, but now he's going against the Falcon tire shrouded Ford Mustang, and already you see that Ken Gushi having hiccups, having problems right out of the gate. Justin Pawlak looks like, I believe, he will get a full pull, and as long as he keeps it between the lines, he will have the victory here as Ken Gushi turned around and went right back up the hill. So, unfortunately for Ken Gushi, not a great weekend for the Goosh, but JTP, Justin Pawlak, out for blood. It looks like the car is definitely quite a contrast from that first qualifying run yesterday, Ryan. Got a feel for Goosh, man. Tough break there for him.
Yeah, especially after the performance that he had last night. It looked like the car was fast. He seemed aggressive. He seemed pretty situated and feeling comfortable and confident overall is the vibe that I think a lot of us were getting. And so to have the vehicle break down on you, super bummer for Ken Gushi, but that'll put Justin Pawlak in the top 16 against Kazuya Taguchi.
Local time here, 4:45, as we were scheduled to go to 5:30. I believe it's going to go considerably longer than that, but we have plenty of time as live stream will kick off 7 o'clock for opening ceremonies, top 16 introduction. And we are moving on to our next battle. Federico Sciarrifo slides back into the chat room. He skipped that 2020 season, but back at 2021, and here he is with Fiorella, his 599 Ferrari, going against the defending champ and two-time champ, Vaughn Gittin Jr. So Vaughn Gittin Jr., the Monster Energy Nitto Tire Ford Performance Mustang RTR Spec 5D. And we're seeing him warm up his Nitto tires. And Federico Sciarrifo from Milan, Italy, says he's made the Ferrari considerably lighter, and it definitely shows very nimble. And Vaughn qualifying 4th compared to 29th of Federico. He was another one that was in the late 8 last night who had to go for the second run. And Federico, new tire manufacturer for him as well. As Federico Sciarrifo, he is on Nexen tires, the Triple F racing department. And we are ready to go. Pulling them on up. Federico, let's get up there, buddy. We do have the burnout box clock, so they don't go too long. And here we go with Vaughn and Fetty on this battle. The winner of this battle will go against, of Rome Charpentier or Dylan Hughes in the top 16. Getting the cameras affixed, and we're good to go. So the gold nose of Chelsea Denofa, rivaled by the silver nose of Von Gittin Jr., the chrome nose of the RTR. RTR ready to rock for a new generation of Ford tuners, not just limited Mustangs. F-150s, the all-new Bronco. Here we go. Von Gittin Jr. out front. Fetty in that chase position. Von initiates. Coming in that first front clip. Big angle there from Von Gittin Jr. Federico very close in proximity. Just as I say that, Von pulls away into the keyhole in that second outside zone. Fetty taking a shallower line. Oh, it looks like he had to check himself up before he wrecked himself up. And now back past that touch and go area and headed back up the hill. Your current and defending Formula Drift champion Von Gittin Jr. making it look good as Fetty got a front row seat and almost too close a front seat or riding shotgun seat into Von Gittin Jr.'s vehicle.
We just talked about that exact situation, didn't we, about getting pinched at inside clip number 1. Fetty came out of the gate a little bit hot there. He hit a cone, but just to clarify, that only pertains to the lead driver where we do the restart there. Big angle by Von Gittin Jr. Fetty keeping it pretty close, competitive through the inside clip, always a really critical part of the course. Now coming up the hill, this is where we're going to see the biggest event that happened on this run between these two drivers. Von getting out to outside zone number 1 and then into 2 as Fetty starts to close the door. He's going to start getting closer to Von here, but then take this tighter line. Now as Von transitions to inside clip number 1, Fetty is coming in too close and too tight, it looks like, and he gets pinched off there and has to make a big adjustment in order to avoid contact with Von Gittin Jr. You can see Von is taking that wide line. He's leaving the outside zone number 2 at the right moment, and Fetty had just come in and overcommitted himself to that line, and unfortunately he gets pinched off there. So he will have some ground to make up as now he will go to the lead in run number 2.
All right, Fetty, this is where it gets interesting, right, Ryan? I mean, Fetty, haven't seen him in a couple of years. Von Gittin Jr., I don't know if they've seen battle against each other just a couple of years ago, but Federico making a lot of noise a couple of years ago, the first ever Ferrari and Formula Drift competition. And Fetty's door is open, wondering what's going on. Is he 100%? Is he having issues at the top of the hill? Formula Drift officials wrapping out with them, seeing what's going on. Is he ready to run, Mr. Ready to Rock? And looks like, man, the hits just keep coming. I believe that's going to be a competition timeout there for Federico. One RTR Mustang is already in the top 16. Denofa, he'll be going against Field. We got JTP, another Ford Mustang, not part of the RTR duo. And as we are seeing what's going on with Fetty, let's throw it up to Lorette Nickel, who's with the Goosh.
Well, Ken Gushi always comes in swinging and fighting, and you told me that, unfortunately, this was round 1 that was some gremlins were starting to pop up, and you had to call that competition 5-minute. What happened?
Yeah, so during practice with my run against Justin Pawlak, coincidentally, we lined up together, and we were matched up together for the top 32, so I kind of went in a little too hard, locked it up on turn 1, and bumped him a little bit, but that bump, I guess, caused some vacuum lines to rib, and I didn't get a second practice after that, so I didn't know the problem until we actually got to the line for the top 32. Ran our first lap and realized I had no power, so I had to turn around, call it 5 minutes, have my guys check it out. I thought we had it fixed, line up for the second run, and during the warm-up, I realized I had no power, so I mic'd it into my spotter telling him I'm going to go for it, but if on the run-up I have no power, I'm going to turn it around because I don't want to, cause any big accidents. But it's very unfortunate. I mean, we haven't really had much driving time with this car during the off-season, and the problems are just starting to show up. So we'll get it fixed. We'll come back harder for Orlando, but that's all for us this weekend.
Ken, thank you so much.
Thank you, guys.
Jared.
Thank you, Lorette. Thank you, Ken Gushi. We'll see you in Orlando, buddy. When we come back, we'll continue the action here at the Royal Purple Road to the Championship, presented by O'Reilly Auto Parts. All right, we are back here. Ready to see who's going to throw down here. Fetty with that competition timeout. Round 1 of the Formula Drift Pro Championship. Ryan, Little slow trickle here. What's going through the driver's head? I feel like, you know, we had some momentum. Right now it's just kind of a little lull.
We got three competition timeouts and one more time in the first few successive battles here. So we are making our way along, but it has not been an easy road for some of these drivers so far, as we see Rome, Charpentier, and Dylan Hughes up next. BMW against BMW, battling it out here. We know that Dylan had some troubles yesterday. We'll see how the car is set for today's tandem competition. Rome starting off his year last year with a crazy situation going into St. Louis, looking to get the 21 start. A lot better than that, and he's been looking pretty good so far. Got that 13th place qualification compared to Dylan's 20th, and they will do battle up next. Here we go.
You know, some drivers qualify better than some drivers, you know, and then when push comes to shove, they just get a little more spirited in head-to-head. I think that might be the case with Dylan. What do you think? Which way is your needle going here?
I like that term, spirited. It's not as aggressive.
Right.
So that
it just implies like, okay, I got to do this. It's like a stepping up quality.
We got to throw it down, and this should be a good battle here as we make our way through. Rome Charpentier, the higher qualified driver, will lead with Dylan Hughes chasing him down.
Yep. All right. So the garagistic vehicle going against the royal purple BMW of Dylan Hughes, the dozer, ready to throw down. What do we got? Is he going to live up? I mean, we've seen some bulldozing here before, Ryan, and that was between Frederick Osbo and Von Gittin Jr. Mr. Plow, that's his name. That name again is Mr. Plow. We're talking about Von Gittin Jr. getting after it. And Rome waiting. Got to restart. Okay. Matt Sopa on the line. Sopa on a ropa. Gets out of the way, strike one. Hack one. Rome through the start chicane. Dylan Hughes keeping it clean. Let's see what we got here on initiation. Rome out front, Dylan in the chase position. Around that front clip. Pretty straightforward, nothing dynamic as far as the flick and the rate to angle. In that second outer zone, you see Rome fill it. Dylan with really good proximity now, transitioning now out of that keyhole. Oh, look at this. Rome pulling away with great angle. Dylan Hughes coming through the smoke signal and back up the hill. Ryan, let's take a look at it again as the Coliseum is filled with smoke.
Good little way to start the first half of this battle here, with both drivers showing some pretty high marks overall. Dylan Hughes keeping the pressure on coming out of the keyhole, and filling that outside zone number 2 was Rome Charpentier. Great on that first inside clip. Let's take a look at it as they go up the hill here. Good transition by both drivers. Rome leading the way, headed up into that keyhole. And as we pick it up, you'll see Dylan eyeing this opportunity for attack, trying to get the timing right as they kind of crunch down together, come into the keyhole. Rome, perfect job in that second outside zone. Good angle, goes a little bit wide on that inside clip, but Dylan anticipates it, keeps the pressure on. He has a little bit of a flub that has him falling back by about a car length and a half, with a little bit less angle there on the transition. But overall, a good way to start this battle between Hughes and Charpentier. One more look here from the FPV. We'll get a pretty dynamic shot of that outside zone being filled, and the difference in discrepancy between Rome and Hughes on that section of the course. That's where Dylan got really aggressive and looked solid, especially on the crossover, but a little bit of a hiccup that caused him to fall back just a little bit.
Yep, that's exactly as I called it as well. So here we go. Hughes out front, royal purple, O'Reilly Auto Parts, BMW's got the 2J under the hood. And now, here we are on the GT Radial, top 32. Through the start chicane. Rome, I have a feeling he's going to apply the pressure here. He knows, I would say, maybe the needle going Rome's way a little bit, but I know Dylan wants it. He is hungry. Now coming up the hill, look at him pulling away. Massive angle there from Hughes. Woo, look at that, fills all of that second outside zone. Really well done. I'd say a little bit more aggressive, and as I said earlier, spirited. Solid execution on that touch and go. Now transitioning back up the hill. Lead versus lead, chase versus chase, Ryan. What I'd like to see here is a BC Racing side by side.
Well, that was a really good battle between both of these guys. Dylan coming out strong on that second run. A lot of speed and momentum. Throws a little snap there. Doesn't fully commit to the rate to angle. You can see using a bit of e-brake there to get himself set up. Roan makes a good adjustment, but he falls back a little bit here. Now on the transition going up the hill. Rome looking for his opportunity this time to attack, but Dylan aggressively comes into the keyhole. Gets in a little bit early, taps the first part of that marker for the zone. And a great job there to tuck up on the inside by Rome. Charpentier in the chase position. A lot of smoke being generated by both these drivers, and good angle there by Dylan. Nice transition to the final inside clip, and pulls a tiny little gap there on Rome at the end. So a good back and forth battle here between these two drivers in the top 32.
Line, angle, style, or hitting clipping points, angle, getting that car sideways or as sideways as possible. That rate to angle on initiation, and style, that's just the, getting gangster with it. Just snappy on your transitions, deeper angle, just the X factor that really separates you. That's in qualifying. You're applying those same, criteria to your head-to-head battles, but in that chase position, you want to utilize that lead car as a moving clipping point. Just reiterating the facts here, and slide them left for Rome, right for Dylan Hughes. And it looks like, all right, Chris goes with Dylan Hughes one more time, and one more time. Just want to make sure that is correct with the judges, okay? Just want to make sure after our last graphic. So that is a one more time between them. Okay, all right, so I apologize. Brian Eggert is actually the top judge, and then it goes Ryan Lontaine and then Chris. Ryan?
Yeah, this is the side-by-side from BC Racing of what the judges saw. Both drivers, I think, probably the right call here. Some tiny mistakes by both drivers, but at the same time also some high marks in both in the lead and the chase position. So we will see them go one more time, and we will now move back to the second half of the Von Gittin Jr. and Federico Sciffro battle, where Federico Sciffro, if you're just joining us, had to call a competition timeout.
And he didn't make it.
And he did not make it. So Von Gittin Jr. will go solo out there and move on into the top 16 to either face Charpentier or Hughes.
That's right. So Fetty, unfortunately, not making it in his competition timeout. So you know what? Let's lay back and listen to the Monster Energy Nitto Tire Ford Performance Mustang RTR Spec 5D, Mr. Ready to Rock, and current defending Formula Drift champion, Von Gittin Jr. Von Gittin Jr. advances on to the top 16 without just partaking in one run, unfortunately, against Fetty, as Federico unable to make it to the line. Up next, you can see Kyle the Menace Mohan, the Mazda Tricks, American Ethanol, been on Exidy, man, 10, 15 years. He's been on Exidy clutches for quite some time. Kyle Mohan, the lone rotary, banging away on the winkles, warming up his tires, and getting it going. Ryan Tuerck, his competitor. Ryan Tuerck, third overall in the Formula Drift Championship. And there are the stats. Ryan Tuerck, again, average 1,000 horsepower on all these vehicles. Ryan Tuerck, Kyle Mohan, here in the NOS Energy Drink, top 32. And Ryan Tuerck will lead that gum out, Toyota Racing, Corolla hatchback, going against Kyle Mohan in the Mazda RX-8. Remember, Dylan Hughes and Charpentier, one more time between those gentlemen. Whoa, look at Ryan Tuerck coming out hot, coming out swinging, literally. Ryan Tuerck initiates in that first front clip, tight around the front clip. Kyle Mohan tucks into the smoke, but Tuerck pulls away. Live free or die, that is the motto of his home state, and right now he's living free out front. Now coming back and outside of that keyhole. And through that touch and go he does. Shout out to the race service homies watching at home. I know the Finch is watching. Oh, and Kyle Mohan slams into the wall.
I was just going to say there's a couple places on the course where it can get pretty dangerous if you get lost in the smoke. One of them is right after inside clip number 1, and the other is coming down the hill from the touch and go. And it looked like, from what I was watching there, Jared, that Mohan was starting to get lost in the smoke and starting to fall behind, and then it becomes all about muscle memory. And if you make one little mistake, you can find yourself in this position right here. So hopefully Kyle is okay, but that is a tough way to end the first half of run number 1 for Kyle Mohan.
Oh, such a bummer for him, man. It's he is moving, so that's good, but I just know, Kyle and his program, and I know his wife and child are at home. His dad is a spotter, and would love to see Kyle on the box. And he says he's right there. He's right there, but unfortunately he goes hard on the wall. We'll see if it's repairable. That looks like quite a hit. Let's take a look at the instant replay here, the Air Force instant replay.
Well, things holding together pretty well for both drivers from initiation. You can see Mohan started to get lost in the smoke there. That's that first area. You can kind of see he's driving in the smoke, and he falls back because of that, and also because of the power and grip that Ryan Tuerck has. You can see Mohan pulls out of the smoke line to try to gain proximity here, which is probably a smart move. But then as we leave the horseshoe, you'll see right here coming down the hill, he's going to get lost in the smoke again. Starting here, he's driving basically blind at this moment. And on this transition, he's going to go a little bit later than usual, and then he's finding the edge of the course here, gets into the grass, and luckily it was not a head-on collision, got the back bumper there. So potentially the car could be salvageable for run number 2, but obviously we're a bit too far away to tell. It's just lucky that it didn't go in head first.
Yeah, that back left end, and it's, instead of a bath bomb from Bath and Body Works, but he was bathing in smoke. It's more of a smoke bomb from Tuerck's. And speaking of Body Works, that's what he got done there. And Ryan Tuerck, round of applause for Kyle Mohan. He steps outside of the vehicle. Mohan's outside of his vehicle, so that's always a good thing. But Ryan Tuerck, he is all too familiar with big accidents himself. I mean, if you can remember, what was that, 2019 actually, when he rode off his car at round 1 in Long Beach. So he knows what it's like to get back on that horse, as they say. So again, shout out to the race service boys, Andy, Jake, and here we go. The one more time battle here. Rome Charpentier, Dylan Hughes. Let's see what you got, Rome. Dylan Hughes, see if he can step up. He got gapped there on that first battle. Rome brings it around, low and slow. That is the tempo right now. Let's see if they turn it up. Rome throwing some gangster angle at it. And look at Dylan going deeper on this second run. Rome with some awesome angle. A great lead run to follow here. It looks like Dylan past that touch and go. Just a quick little flick of the wrist and back up the hill, Ryan.
I think there was a slight little elevation there in Dylan Hughes' chase game on this one more time battle. A lot closer with longer duration, made an impact overall for me. But that can really only happen because Rome had a solid lead run of his own. Let's take a look at it here. Rome comes down from the front straight in the middle, moves over to the edge of the course. Nice initiation there, locks in that angle. But look at Dylan wrapping around that inside clip, staying close, managing to stay on the inside of Rome Charpentier, out of the smoke line. And here is where he makes a big impression. He goes with Rome out to that outside zone, follows the line, gets through the smoke line here, stays on the inside so he can keep the pressure on. And even though he's not door-to-door, it's an aggressive chase drive. Rome, on the other hand, solid line coming through the touch and go, wrapping through that final inside clip and doing a great job of his own. So once again, both of these drivers have proven that they are ready to fight here in the top 32 for that coveted top 16 berth. As now we will see Dylan Hughes take the lead as Rome Charpentier will chase him down.
Well, you talk about stepping up, and they're ready to compete. If whoever wins is going against Vaughn Gittin Jr. So you got to bring your A game, bro.
Yes, you do.
All right, Dylan Hughes out front, Rome Charpentier in the chase position. Here comes D. Hughes. That royal purple O'Reilly Auto Parts BMW initiated using all the track, getting out to those gator strips. They do bite, kids. All right, now pass up the hill. Dylan Hughes wiggling his way up top in that 2J powered BMW. And Dylan Hughes in the keyhole. Rome gains that proximity, really sticking it to him. Is it enough? Lead versus lead, chase versus chase, Ryan. I do believe the needle's going one way. Not drastically. It wasn't a dominant performance, but I thought it was good by both drivers.
There was a little bit more of a comparable gap in the chase run here from Rome Charpentier going up the hill than there was against Hughes. But, you know, that's nitpicking. A little bit of a reduction in angle there as well from Rome. But outside of that, Rome adjusts well to Dylan's lead run. He doesn't go all the way out to that outside zone. And I think the combination of those three, even though he's looking strong right here through this section coming out of the keyhole, Dylan had a solid lead run. He really did not make any noticeable, even really any minor mistakes. And he took advantage of having that clean air out front to do what he needed to do to give himself a good argument to the judges to say, hey, I should win this battle.
Yeah. Don't leave it in the judges' hands. We've been saying it for 17 years, now going on 18 years. Don't leave it in the judges' hands. If you want it bad enough, throw it down, baby. And like I said, I don't think there was just the needle went slamming over and breaking the scale, but basically, I do believe the needle could have gone one way more than the other. You can see as we're checking out the bird's eye view, exiting out of that keyhole. Rome, again, bathing in the smoke. Dylan Hughes with the GT radials on this year. He was talking about getting that bigger sidewall, so you get more of that side bite. A lot of these drivers that were in, previous manufacturers. So slide him left for Rome, right for Dylan Hughes, the dozer. That royal purple. O'Reilly Auto Parts BMW gets the win. Dylan Hughes gets the win unanimously. Dylan Hughes moves on to the top 16. Next stop for him is Gittin Jr. in the top 16. We are finding out that Kyle Mohan is unfortunately not able to make it to the line. Hope to see him in Orlando, but that means Ryan Tuerck will advance. Ryan Tuerck and his Gumout Toyota Racing Toyota Corolla on Nitto tires will be going on to the top 16 as we make our way through top 32. All right, let's just listen to this 4-cylinder turbo nitrous powered hot hatchback of Ryan Tuerck. Go, fellas, as Ryan Tuerck building that brand new Formula Supra vehicle. That thing's going to be insane. That Judd V10 HGK body kit. Shout out to Chris Dobbs and the HGK homies. And again, RS, how we doing? All right, so let's throw it down to Lorette Nickel, who's with the dozer.
Hello, you guys. Sorry, it's so loud right here. Dylan Hughes, you got that one more time battle with Rome. You took the win. You were able to clean up the mistakes. So how do you keep that momentum going?
I mean, just getting the first one out of the way is just a huge, huge part for this year. You know, it's there's a lot of effort and a lot of stuff, a lot of time that goes by in between these rounds. So, you know, there's always nerves are extra high in the first battle of the year. So just really stoked to come out with the win. And I was honestly, when we were sitting there waiting for the call, I was like, you know what? Like, whatever happens, happens. Rome's a great dude. And at the end of the day, everybody just wants to see some good, clean driving. And I think we did that for everybody. So at the end of the day, really stoked to get it and onto this 16. So really stoked right now.
Great job, Dylan. Jared?
Thank you, Lorette. Congratulations, Dylan. Hey, I'll be down partying with you and the fans in the pit. We're going to have some Q&A session there in the Royal Purple booth. This is the Royal Purple Road to the Championship presented by O'Reilly Auto Parts. So I know they got to be stoked that their boy is in the fight still as we move on through our NOS energy drink. Top 32, the official energy drink of Formula Drift. Michael Essa versus Eve Meyer. So we got Switzerland versus LA. Michael Essa, 2 BMWs, 2 very different builds, but 2 very capable drivers. Michael Essa, former champ. He was down a cylinder yesterday, and we talked about how crazy it sounded. I don't know if it was repaired or if he's just going for it. Here we go. Michael Essa, FCP Euro, Liquid Moly, BMW, and Eve Meyer. Oh, my goodness. That was just absolutely out of nowhere. Ryan, wow. Very surprised. That it's just like, something grabbed the wheel.
Yeah, that was really odd, and threw a lot of rocks on the track, so this is definitely going to have to be swept,
wow.
which is just going to keep pushing us deeper and deeper. But as you said, it was almost something kind of supernatural-like about what happened there with Michael Essa. Seemed completely out of character. I'd have to imagine that that was something that was damaged with this vehicle or something that he didn't know that was about to be damaged. Let's take a look at it again, Jared, see if we can determine what happened here. It's a nice little rolling initiation, drops a wheel into the rumble strips. Now watch the front tires. He's gonna get into there.
Oh, it just, that back right sucked him in.
Yeah, the back right, but typically we don't see the back right, a little dip like that, do that kind of aggressive maneuver to the front. That was a little bit unorthodox, but he does drop the tire and then the front wheels wash out. So as the lead driver, at that point the run is over. So for Yves Meyer, he did not need to finish the run. It's okay if he does, but he will have a big advantage against Michael Essa as a lead driver, who was not able to complete a lap and compete against Yves Meyer here in the top 32.
Such a bummer for him, and I know he's had a tough weekend. I didn't have a chance to catch up with him, but Michael Essa, always a competitor, really smooth. He's one of the quickest drivers through the course. But we'll see. Again, that back right dipped, probably changed the attitude of the vehicle, and Essa just heads right back up. But that will be a major, major deficit for him as Yves backs it up. Got the John Deere out there cleaning up right before the kitty litter. We'll get that swept back up and back out on track. Burn a tire, throwing pebbles. And all right, so we are figuring out, man, those rumble strips absolutely just grabbing it. All right, so again, maid service. Once again, we are making quite a mess out here. When we come back, we'll continue with more Formula Drift action. It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood. Beautiful day in the neighborhood. Won't you be mine? Could you be mine? Won't you be my drift neighbor? When we come back. So, 4th overall in the Formula Drift Championship, Simon Olsen, a rookie. So is it the Norwegian hammer and the Norwegian mallet? I don't know. I mean, what do we got here? The Norwegian screwdriver? I mean, we're about to throw it in, right? All right. Here we go. Frederick Osbo and Simon. Simon says, let's see what you got. Frederick Osbo around that first front clip, now transitioning up the hill. Simon Olsen bringing it up, getting gapped here a little bit. Welcome to Formula Drift, Simon. And coincidentally going against another Norwegian. Flames being thrown down here as the brand new Rockstar livery on the vehicle. He's loving gold. The Norwegian Gold Hammer, the Rockstar Toyota Racing Toyota Supra of Frederick Osbo.
Really fast start there for Frederick Osbo, looking strong in that chassis as they go into year number 2, a full year of competition, and Osbo bringing that big Scandinavian flick back, going all the way over to the other side of the course, and a nice rate to angle there. Look at that minimal e-brake pull, and he's on throttle early before that inside clip and then off like a rocket ship. Simon Olsen having a tough time keeping pace here with Frederick Osbo, as Osbo determined to get through this track, hitting all the clips and zones, but maintaining a lot of grip in the forward momentum that is needed to take out these battles. So you could see Olsen struggling there in the chase, a little bit of reduction of angle, but really not a factor overall in the head-to-head so far. Things could get interesting here as they switch it up. Olsen goes to the lead. Osbo will chase him down.
Yeah, great looking car. I just met him for the first time yesterday. He was really excited to be here. He's feeling good. He's doing the Norwegian Drift Championship as Simon Olsen. Great looking vehicle. I mean, 2 fantastic looking cars. Two different setups, you know. Simon running the 2J and Frederick Osbo running the OE engine setup that Steph Papadakis has absolutely manipulated. Here we go, Simon Olsen initiating. Frederick Osbo chasing him down around that first front clip. Goes Simon Olsen now back up the hill. This is why Frederick Osbo, one of the best in the biz, a former champion, a real contender. This is the year he wants to go back, you know, gets another championship. Does he have the formula to take it to the top? Simon Olsen transitions, looks like Frederick Osbo. Look at this. He pulls away from him. Now bringing it past that touch and going around that final front clip. And there is Simon Olsen and Frederick Osbo with a full pull with 2 Toyota Supras, 2 Norwegians. Which Norwegian Hammer is going to advance on, Ryan? And you have to assume Freddie, the Norwegian Hammer, Osbo, will do that.
Starting to see some good chase runs here, some good battles overall as both drivers from Norway here doing battle on the course. Osbo tucking right behind Olsen there after initiation, smoothly moving around, staying out of the smoke line, trying to drive aggressively and give a good showing here in the chase. Olsen swinging wide on that inside clip, allowing an opening there for Osbo. Osbo a slight reduction in angle there, but no major mistakes equivalent to what we saw from Olsen in his chase. Here's a look on board from the FPV. You get a good glance at what those drivers have to go through. We saw Mohan get lost in the smoke there. That is a really challenging part of the course. Got to be very careful not to get lost. Now let's make it official.
Slide him left for Osbo, right for Olsen, and it looks like it's going to be unanimous. Frederick Osbo gets the win. Simon, again, thank you for joining us out here. Love to see you in Orlando. It's going to get hot. It's going to get a lot hotter. You're blessed with some beautiful weather, so make sure you wear some sunscreen as it's going to get hot. So Simon Olsen, a great effort, but front row and center with Frederick Osbo going toe-to-toe, our number 2 qualifier with that 93 yesterday, threw it down. So now here we go. We are seeing Mr. Alec Robbins versus Jeff Jones. This should be a really fun battle. You know, you got two, oh no, excuse me. This is not Alec. Oh, we're going back. Yes, we are. We are going back to Essa and Eve Meyer. Just catching that. As we saw, Essa said it was just misfiring. Talking to a spotter, they did swap out the engine. They put in the backup motor in the FCP Euro Liqui-Moly BMW, and the Drift Force, Eve Meyer from Switzerland. And these gentlemen, I know are competitive snowboarders. They saw drifting for the first time just a few years ago, and they said, man, this looks awesome, want to get involved. They have a driving school back in Switzerland, and that's why they're here, competing, having some fun, and promoting their company. As now Eve Meyer could make his first debut into Formula Drift Top 16, I believe, right? I'm trying to recall. Here we go. Eve Meyer out front. Michael Essa in that chase position. Eve Meyer from Switzerland initiating into that first front clip. There it is, bringing it on up. Looks like Essa running a lot stronger. Oh, Eve doesn't get all the way to the outside zone, but remember, with Essa going off course, he has a deficit, and look at, he's trying to get right into his business. Unfortunately for Essa going off course, any mistake that Eve Meyer made on that run just does not overpower going off course in the kitty litter, Ryan.
Well, it is all but official here because of the incomplete from Michael Essa. Unfortunate that it comes through a mechanical problem that he was having after all the effort they put into adapting to things that can change in real time here in competition. But Eve Meyer was able to do what he needed to do in the lead run. He did not have anything close to an incomplete. That would have given us an opportunity to see these guys run again. So it's just down to the judges to pop it up, and we will be moving forward with Eve Meyer making a top 16 appearance.
All right, so taking a look at that FPV, you can see the drone get up close and personal as we will go on to the battle that I spoke about just moments ago. So we are more than halfway through, and let's make it official. Slide them right for Eve Meyer. Michael Essa, the former champ, getting knocked out as he took himself out into the kitty litter. And Eve Meyer advances on for what I believe is his first Formula Drift Top 16. Alec Robbins from Minnesota going against Jeff Jones from Southern California. 2 V8 Nissan Zs going toe-to-toe. The relentless one, Jeff Jones, 818 Bruin. And Alec Robbins, like I said, from Minnesota. Looking forward to seeing how this battle unfolds. All right, so what do we have? Jeff Jones. Jeff Jones Racing, he's on GT Radios this year. Edelbrock, he says if he wins, if he gets on the podium, he's taking his Edelbrock Supercharger on the podium with him. So would love to see him win, just at, you know, for more reasons than one, but would love to see that, of course. But Robbins here, you know, he has a great history, just with his Facetto 350Z, but also previous to that, drifted in the MDU Championship, the Midwest Drift Union. And now Robbins will lead Jones, giving chase. An all-Z 16-cylinder battle. What do we got? Robbins versus Jones. Let's see how they handle coming down the hill. Robbins initiates, coming to that first front clip. Robbins, Jones a little bit tighter, but he's losing some ground as Robbins consistent up the hill into that second outside zone, into the keyhole. Now see if he can tighten it up. Both of them do that as they exit out. Unlock the door. Speaking of doors, Jones sticks it to the door of Robbins and back up the hill past that final front clip. The first front clip becomes the last front clip as they bring it back up the hill. Ryan.
Yeah, here we go. Jeff Jones, Alec Robbins taking a look at it here one more time as they sweep through that inside clip. Slight little adjustment here from Jones in the chase position. We saw that little wobble there from Robbins after the initiation. Coming into the keyhole here, nice sweeping turn there by Robbins, who goes a little bit wide on that inside clip, but good momentum through that section of the course. Jones adjusts as well as both drivers wrap through this final inside clip. Robbins was a little off that final section. Love to see that adjustment that Robbins made after initiation. I think those kind of little mistakes will certainly factor in, but overall a good competitive run here between Jeff Jones and Alec Robbins.
All right, let's see when they alternate, see how they end up. Jeff Jones now out front getting the clean air. And Robbins chasing him down. Robbins, you know, we saw him last year, very aggressive. It seems like he's kind of chilling out. He's changed tire manufacturers. Oh, look at this, going into the dirt. Just as I say that, Alec Robbins goes on the wrong side of the clipping point. That is going to be detrimental to the outcome of this run. Oh, boy. So Jeff Jones could have the victory here. Want to take a look at the instant replay, make sure there's no foul play. I don't think that was the case. I think that Jones, or excuse me, not Jones, but Robbins just came in too hot in that chase position. But let's take a look at it again here, Ryan. On first glance, it just seems that, like I said, Robbins comes in too hot and overcooks it, burns the meatloaf.
Yeah, let's take a look at it from the original shot coming down. He was really pacing Jones super close, and I think that that's the right thing to do, but you're certainly threading the needle there quite a bit, and it's kind of a thin red line overall, and he's just not able to pull out of it. Remember, that is a decel zone down to the bottom of inside clip number 1, so Jones is, you know, it's fair there that he's going to be braking, he's going to be adjusting, he's going to be slowing down. And Robbins, you can see locks up the rear brakes and is just not able to pull out of it. At this point, Jones will be flagged down coming down the hill as Robbins goes off course. But that should be enough for Jones to get the victory.
And slide him left for Robbins, right for Jeff Jones. And there it is. Jeff Jones gets the win, and it is unanimous, unfortunately, for Robbins. We will see you in Orlando, bud, as Robbins in that Facetto 350Z is knocked out. So Jones with the victory. Next stop for him is going against Frederick Osbo in the top 16. All right, here we see Chris the Force Forsberg up to the line, 3-time Formula champion, that NOS energy drink, Nissan 370Z, switching over to those GT radials. All right, as Dean Carnage Carney warms up his tires, let's go down to Lorette Nickel. Lorette.
Trav, can you hear them?
Yes, let's go. It's loud down there, Ryan. It's real loud. I don't know if she can hear me.
Can you hear? Oh, guys, all right. It's
loud.
Sorry, far away range. Yves Meyer, this is an amazing dream come true. In 2016 in Long Beach, you were saying one day your name is going to be announced in top 16, and it's coming true. Talk to us about that.
Yeah, today is the day which is coming true. It's unbelievable for me. For sure, I need the water, but I need it in my face and not to drink. Yeah, and then the second dream came true. I met next round in top 16. I met Ryan Tuerck. So in 2015, I met him in Germany, and I was like, yeah, that's the big drifter from USA, and now I drive against him. It's just unbelievable.
Yves, congratulations. Will you see you in top 16? Jared.
Awesome, absolutely well said. 2015, 16, you see it. Those are the emotions. That's just the absolute. You see, just that's what these guys are looking for. And again, just advancing on, seeing their dreams come true. That's awesome. So, question is, can he advance on past Ryan Tuerck? All right, Forsberg and Dean Kearney going toe to toe. Here we go, fellas. Send it. Chris the Force Forsberg initiates into that first clip. Dean Kearney. He's been a one-tire manufacturer for 10 years. He switches it up to a new tire manufacturer this year. Whoa, and Forsberg, a big correction and straightening out of nowhere.
I think the run's over.
That is going to be, yeah, I mean, that's an unchaseable lead run for Forsberg, so very unfortunate turn of events. You are entering the twilight zone, man. There are some weird things happening, so.
I think the judges are going to say that the run is over after Chris incompletes up the hill because it's a lead driver. And once a lead driver incompletes, the chase driver is allowed to stop drifting for safety reasons. Obviously, Chris reinitiated there, and even if they count the run after the incomplete, it's going to put Chris at a big deficit. Let's take a look at it from initiation. Dean surging, trying not to hit Chris Forsberg as they go up the hill now. And this is where Chris is going to unwind it. And it looks like, see, Dean did the right thing by angling up there to try to avoid a big wreck. So it'll be interesting to see if the judges, I think that is definitely going to be deemed an incomplete. And I believe that from this point forward, from now, everything you're seeing now will not count in the run in any way, shape, or form. You obviously can't fault Chris and Dean for continuing, but in terms of judging, I believe it will stop right there.
Very unfortunate turn of events there for Forsberg. Dean, both the vehicles, I'm glad that no contact was made. That could have been ugly as here we go. The second half of this run, Dean Kearney and Forsberg. And here we go. Kearney leading, Forsberg giving chase. All right, the Oracle Lighting Dodge Viper initiates. Forsberg knows he needs to bang on his door on that initiation. Carnage brings it up the hill. You can see Forsberg pedaling his way up to the keyhole in that second outside zone. Woo, barely, almost having contact. Now coming back down the hill past that touch and go. And then into that final clip. Ryan, unfortunately for Forsberg, I believe that is the end of his weekend with that big correction coming up the hill.
We are just seeing a lot of craziness in this top 32, and a lot of it has been vehicles. So taking a look at it again here, Forsberg is going to have to push Dean as hard as possible here to force an air large enough to make an incomplete for Dean Kearney, but that does not happen here. So something, maybe gear popped out for Forsberg, something went wrong. Those front wheels came to the straight position. He had to reinitiate drift, and this is going to be a tough break for the three-time champ.
Right, I'm taking a look at the schedule here. Local time is 5:47, and according to our schedule, before I get into that, and let's make it official here, and slide him left for Forsberg, right for Dean Kearney gets the victory and advances on to top 16. So local time 5:48, so just before 6 o'clock, and we were intended to be in our break from 5:30 to 7, but as we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 more battles left. You know, timing-wise, it's gonna be a short halftime break there, but if one at all.
Here it is. Here's the remaining battles, Jared.
Yep.
Brandon Sorensen and Trenton Beecham up next. Odie Bakshis and Jonathan Hurst, Travis Reeder and Masuyama, Burkett and Adam LZ, and Jonathan Castro and Josh Reynolds to cap things off here. Trenton Beecham just finishing up his time in the burnout box. as he will take on Brandon Sorensen, who was quite the star last night in his qualifying runs.
Yep.
This young driver here making a name for himself, taking on the former Pro 2 champion from just 2 years ago, Trenton Beecham, taking a year off for COVID and now coming back as a pro driver to take that license. So these two young drivers going at it here as we will line things up with Brandon Sorensen taking the lead.
Yeah, Brandon Sorensen, officially the youngest driver to ever win a Formula Drift event. He won a U.S. Drift event and the youngest driver to ever qualify for a Formula Drift event. So some staggering stats there from the Las Vegas resident of Brandon Sorensen. Let's see what he got going against Trenton Beecham. I know he's hungry as well. All right, this LS-powered BMW coming into that first front clip. Beecham in tow, giving himself maybe too much room here in that 2-1-2 performance BMW as Brandon Sorensen comes up into the keyhole. Beecham brings in that second outside zone. Brandon performing surgery as he comes out of the keyhole. Brandon, you can see him bringing it down past that front clip. Really well executed from the 16-year-old driver. When he actually qualified for his Formula Drift license, he can't drive legally on the road. That's how young this gentleman is.
Yeah, into that number 10 spot, looking pretty legit here. Starting to make a name for himself here just after a couple qualifying, or one qualifying run and some practice, as well as this pretty phenomenal lead run here. He does miss that outside or that inside clip just a little bit, and he's going to go wide on the touch and go. But in terms of aggressiveness, fluidity, the way that he's able to apply the power down to this Road Atlanta track, he's looking solid in the lead position. They will now switch things up as Trent Beecham will now have his chance to take the lead against Brandon Sorensen.
All right, let's see what we got from Beecham out front, getting the clean air. And then Brandon Sorensen in tow. This is where, you know, track time and just the veterans in that chase position. So I'm really eager and interested to see how Brandon handles it. I mean, this is his first time driving and competing here in ATL. So I'm definitely eager to see how he throws down. And Beecham out front in that Ford Mustang. Brandon Sorensen piloting that 2-1-2 performance BMW. Send it, fellas. Come on, Beecham and Sorensen. Down by the Beecham. Past that front clip, knocking it over both of them. Just barely nicking it. Now up into that first outside zone. Segueing into the second. Brandon Sorensen, a great chase job there from this 16-year-old pilot. Woo, look at that. The 16-year-old driver, regardless of age ain't nothing but a number. And right now, Brandon Sorensen with one of the best chase runs we've seen of today, man. That was solid, Ryan.
Well, yeah, you got to say that it is legit here. A very formidable opponent in front of Brandon Sorensen. And not only does he go out and have a pretty solid lead, he stays aggressive on the chase as well. Trenton Beecham, a former Pro 2 champion, making his way up to Pro, doing everything he can to fend off the young driver, but Brandon Sorensen looking solid here, aggressive on that inside clip as he attacks the inside. After the initiation, he stayed with Trenton Beecham like a moving clipping point, never really let him get away. And so far, the kid is turning out to be a legitimate competitor here. So congratulations to him either way with the result. That is impressive for a kid of his age.
All right. As we are waiting for the outcome of this battle between these two gentlemen, here is the BC Racing side-by-side instant replay. BC Racing, the official suspension of Formula Drift. Go for gold.
Sorensen in the lead on the left and Beecham on the lead in the right. You'll be able to tell some of the differences here. You can see Sorensen kind of gaps him on his lead run, but stays closer in the chase. That should bode well for his campaign here. He also gets out to that outside zone pretty decently. Beecham is hanging in there, and on his lead run is performing well. But you're just seeing a little bit of a difference in the proximity side of things for Sorensen.
All right. Judges still deliberating here. Sorenson or Beecham. Looks like our judges have inputted the scores. Slide them left for Sorenson or right for Trenton Beecham. There it is. 1 vote for Brandon, 2 votes for Brandon. Brandon Sorenson gets the victory and will advance on. All right, the stars of tomorrow is the star of right now. Brandon Sorenson advances on at top 16 as we have our next battle. We have the G37 of Jonathan Hurst and Odi Bakshis in that Falcon Tires S15, the field suspension vehicle. Ready to throw down this NOS energy drink, top 32. There's the stats, fairly equally matched. Both Nissans, well, Nissan and Infiniti, but both with the LS engines. So excited to see how this one unfolds. Amy Bakshis, his wife and spotter, cheering him on. The Cash Racing G37. He had some issues yesterday. I talked to him in the driver's meeting. He says, dude, we changed up the fuel. So he thinks he put in bad fuel. Hopefully he's worked it out. But right now, you can't give Odi a gap like that. He is thirsty. Here we go. Odi Bakshis around that first front clip. The Cash Racing G37 shuts her down. And it looks like Odi Bakshis throw the yellow flags, throw the caution. And it looks like, yep, there it is. So Odi sees the vehicle, shuts her down as he would have, wouldn't have been pretty. So just as I was talking about Jonathan Hurst and working out the gremlins, looks like he got him wet and fed him after midnight because they grew between last night and right now. So the Cash Racing G37, unfortunately, still having some gremlins under the hood as Odi Bakshis will have a major advantage here when they alternate the order. The question is, can Jonathan Hurst fix the vehicle? Hey, we got some celebrities in the building. What's up, T-Pain? T-Pain in the building. How we doing, man? I know you got your Nappy Boy drifting thing going. Gittin Jr. built you a Ford Mustang, and here you are. You ready to get out there and compete? Okay, yeah, that's cute. That's cute. That's real cute. I've seen the Mustang, and I know you got the RTR sweatshirt. Don't see the fire suit just yet. A lot of gold, a lot of bling. We got carbon fiber trophies. They're not gold. T-Pain in the building up here, representing RTR. If you haven't seen it, T-Pain, your Mustang down there. What's it called? The spec, the RTR spec, because it's a Rick and Morty reference. The C137. Show me what you got, right? That's what's up. Ooh, wee, Rick. Yeah, that's what's up. So as we're going to alternate the order here again, just thank you for joining us, T-Pain. I know you're cheering on Gittin Jr. He's already in the top 16. So RTR, we're ready to rock. Speaking of ready to rock, we got that of Odi Bakshis. He's going to be chasing down Jonathan Hurst, the Cash Racing G37. He has that deficit there. And here we go. Jonathan Hurst comes out swinging, but if I'm Odi, you got to think, you know, out of the last few runs, hasn't been 100%. You really got to risk it for the biscuit, and he does just that. So Hurst looks like he found that clean fuel once again. Oh, boy, woo! Wow. Pucker up, Buttercup. Man, he grabbed all of the seat with his rear end. Wow. All right, well, with that being said, Odi Bakshis. I mean, I know he got the new carbon Kevlar doors and body kit, but that is no way to try it out and see if it's durable. But Odi Bakshis, we talked about it, Ryan, yesterday in qualifying, just looked a little more aggressive, but not a good way to check if the carbon Kevlar works and is actually durable. But watch this, man. Ready? Skirt. Dude, he threw all the brakes on. He put his foot through the floor. Wow. So Odi Bakshis comes to a halt and, comes to a halt on the track, but continues on in top 16. Ryan.
Yeah, so he'll get the easy win here. Obviously, Hurst having some problems with his vehicle, but Odi Bakshis doing a great bit of defensive driving there to avoid damage with the vehicle. And he will be moving on into the top 16 to face the winner of this next battle, which is going to be Travis Reeder versus Wataru Masuyama.
Masuyama piloting a vehicle that is definitely seen some track time here. So as Travis Reeder warms up his tires, let's see what we got going here.
All right, so Travis Reeder at the line. The new vehicle taking on Wataru Masuyama, also in a new vehicle, but one that's got some historical significance in the fact that it is Matt Field's old car that's been rebranded. This is the car that won Irwindale in 2018, as well as fielded a couple seasons of Matt Field as he was developing that chassis. So that is a very strong, powerful, reliable vehicle that has served the former driver, or excuse me, that has served his former driver, Matt Field, very well. And it's a really interesting departure from his previous vehicle, which was the Japanese spec S15. And we saw just a little bit of a come together moment in trying to make that adjustment from the right-hand drive to left-hand drive, and also driving with a different power plant. We'll see how it plays out now as they will do battle here.
And Travis Reeder, you know, jumping from an S13 to a brand new built for him BMW. I mean, he's been thrashing on this thing. Had an opportunity to hang out with Travis in St. Louis, and Travis Reeder, the Walmart greeter. I like to think of him more as the speed reader. Again, just reading words constantly, just ripping through books. It's at blazing speed. All joking aside, speaking of blazing speed, this is what he wants to throw down. Travis Reeder versus Masuyama in that Buy More Japan S chassis curated by Matt Field. All right, Travis Reeder out front in old red, that Link engine management. Whoa, coming in hot. There goes Masuyama. Gets into the dirt. Reeder flicks it back up the hill to that first outside zone, massages it in, and in that second outside zone in the keyhole. Travis Reeder transitions back out. Masuyama loses a bit of angle, but then comes back down. Nice job by Masuyama, but quite a bit of distance back as Reeder looks like he is clicking. Well done there by Reeder.
Yeah, it may take some time for Masuyama to get the hang of this thing. Reeder comes out strong, and we know how Reeder has been developing as a driver. You can see Masuyama dropping a tire there and then getting offline, and that just causes him to fall back pretty far there in a way that is almost hard to recover from. Reeder stays consistent out front. He's got the clean air. Masuyama is left playing catch-up, Jared. So a tough break there for Masuyama. He's going to really have to give it his all here on the second run as he takes the lead.
All right, a lot of smoke lingering here. It seems, I was talking about the wind earlier, it seems that it's died down, so sitting not like a fruit bowl, but more of like a smoke bowl. And Masuyama will lead Reeder, giving chase. Let's see what we got. Just two more battles after this. And here we go, Masuyama and Reeder. Masuyama initiates. Reeder gives himself some distance, does take out that front clip. Reeder, now he's playing catch up. Compromises that angle as Masuyama gets out to that second outside zone. Shallows it up, gains that proximity. Masuyama ripping through the course very fast. As now Reeder sticks it to the side, transitions back. Well done by Reeder. Really good execution. So, Ryan, you saw a little bit of compromise. So basically, you know, Masuyama, he was back quite a ways. Reeder didn't get all the way out to that second. Go ahead, elaborate, if you will.
Well, Reeder, I think he gave a little bit more rope than he wanted to Masuyama on this second battle here. But one thing that he did, I think that would be critical overall, is that as Masuyama made that mistake early on, he never really recovered. Reeder recovers here and recovers very well. Watch how he gains proximity through this inside clip, and then he's going to have a beautiful transition coming down the hill, super close to the back bumper, leaving the touch and go right there, and then he's right back in the pocket. That is a point of difference for me overall, and if he does win, it's going to be by a slimmer margin than anticipated, but I think it is going to be a deserved win.
Here we go, scores are in. Slide them left for Reeder or right for Masuyama. And here we go, new cars for both the drivers, and Reeder gets the win in new red. Scarlet has taken him all the way, so Travis Reeder, he says hello, and he moves on. So Travis Reeder moves on to top 16 in a brand new car. He advances on. He will be going against Odie Bakshis in top 16. And here we go, Adam LZ, all the LZ fans. I affectionately am calling the fans lizards. I think it's great because he is the Lizard King, and if you do any research about Lizard King, I think it's great. He lives in Florida, and you got a lot of iguanas and stuff, so here we go, Dan Burkett. Look at that smile. Rad Dan versus Adam LZ. So a couple different hairstyles here. You know, Dan Burkett doesn't have any facial hair. Adam LZ's got a signature fuzzy lip, Ryan?
Yes.
Are you, sorry, I saw you dropping your mic. I felt like when you do that, it's like, I would like to speak now. As Dan Burkett and Adam LZ. Yep. And Rookie of the Year? Yeah, I believe so. Thank you so much, Ryan. You wrote down ROI. I'm like, who is Roy? So I apologize there. The lack of communication here between Ryan and I after 17 years. Still haven't figured it out.
Trying to help you out.
Adam LZ, Rookie of the Year in 2020. I didn't want to call him Roy. Dan Burkett leading out front, Rad Industries, Gear Wrench Toyota Supra versus Adam LZ. Look at this. Dan Burkett initiates Adam LZ right there. One of the best looking cars in FD. Actually, two of the best looking cars in FD. Love both of these things. Coming to that second outside zone. Let's see how they manage. Dan Burkett gets out there. Adam LZ, he needs to close that gap. He might be putting the car in the right places. Dan Burkett shuts her down. Oh, what a bummer for Burkett. Oh, man. So let's take a look here. I mean, it was definitely blinded by the smoke, but I believe I don't think there was any contact. What do you think, Roy?
Yeah, no, I think that was just a mechanical for Dan Burkett. His approach into that inside clip was a little bit slower, and I think it might have caught Adam off guard a little bit, even though that Dan Burkett is fully within his right to do what he did there. He's able to pull a gap on LZ. Looks like he's starting to get away, and LZ is not able to close the gap, but after this section right here, he unwinds the car and shuts it down completely. Here it is, massive amount of smoke. He's not able to finish the run, and that right there will shut down the run for LZ, which means that Dan Burkett would be sitting on an incomplete, probably from a mechanical at a very critical part of the course, which was probably maybe 120 feet from getting through the finish line and giving himself a pretty sizable potential advantage after that first run.
Wow. So, yeah, you can see that, shutting her down. So we'll move on to what was intended to be the final battle of Castro and Reynolds. But we will see if competition timeout was called by Dan Burkett. So Dan Burkett does call a competition timeout, unfortunately for the Rad Industries Gear Wrench Toyota Supra. So the NGK competition timeout being called. NGK, in addition to providing spark plugs for domestic and import vehicles, NGK produces spark plugs for motorcycle, power sports, marine, and outdoor power equipment. NGK also offers complementary ignition product lines, including ignition coils, resistor caps, spark plug wires, and high-performance cables. For reliable performance, trust NGK, the ignition specialist. Visit ngksparkplugs.com to learn how NGK is redefining the category with high ignitability technology through its ruthenium HX spark plugs. NGK. Also, want more power, need better reliability? Hit up BC for the good stuff. Cams, cranks, rods, stroker kits. Brian Crowder has your high-performance needs covered. And for a limited time, get 10% off at runbc.com. Use the promo code Let's Go Racing. Jonathan Castro, Josh Reynolds. What was to be our final battle? We will revisit Adam LZ and Dan Burkett. Adam LZ will have the advantage, so for all you LZ fans, they got to be pumped right now. Let's see what we got. Castro and Reynolds. We saw Eve Meyer, and here we go. Through that start chicane, here comes Jonathan Castro down the hill. Josh Reynolds, he's going door to door, not exactly, oh, there he goes, drops into formation. Past that front clip, you see Castro in with that front left corner of his Toyota 86. Works it into the keyhole, that second outer zone. Quick little yank of the brake. And now Josh Reynolds outside of the keyhole, and Dominican Republic's own Jonathan Castro going across the finish line. Ryan, let's take a look at this again here. Well, looks like Castro's running a lot better. Last night didn't seem like 100%.
It's always a little bit of a vetting out process, isn't it, Jared? Just kind of figuring out how people are going to look after this first round, qualifying or no qualifying. But Castro starting to get back into that groove, you know, the very infamous battle we always talk about. He starts off with a pretty solid lead run here. Josh Reynolds, on the other hand, making the big jump into the Pro Series from Pro 2 last year, which is now Pro Spec. and a completely different series at that, at least over time it will be. So Reynolds trying to get a good jump here against the veteran of Jonathan Castro. They've done one lap. They will now switch things up as Josh Reynolds will take the lead for the first time in his pro career.
All right. Reynolds on the start line. Castro in that chase position. Changing up the graphics there. New livery package for him. Also, you got to think changing up tire manufacturers as well. So let's see what we got here from Josh Reynolds and Jonathan Castro. Reynolds goes to initiate. Castro right there, sweating Reynolds. Well done by Reynolds in that lead position. Look at that, pulling away. These vehicles prepared by Drift Cave. Oh, a wide swing, and Reynolds goes off the course. Oh, man, unfortunately for Reynolds, he goes off, and Jonathan Castro will get the win, unfortunately, to Josh Reynolds. So only one of those vehicles, of those BMWs, what a bummer for Reynolds. So, Ryan, Castro looks like he'll be moving on.
Castro, I'm liking what I'm seeing.
Yeah.
Very aggressive on the initiation. He tucked that front part of his vehicle in a really risky position on initiation, and I like it. I'm digging it. You can see Josh makes a big mistake. Castro gets the very uncommon pass, but he does it legitimately. That's an automatic knockout right there. So we do know that those inside clips can play a role, especially on courses like this where there's a lot of speed and it can be off camber. It certainly plays to the passing game, and Jonathan Castro executes it perfectly.
Yep, that was a great execution, as you said. Even on initiation, like you said, just very aggressive as Jonathan Castro gets the win, holding it down for DR, Dominican Republic. Ryan, so we are scheduled, again, we have one half of battle left between Burkett and that of Adam LZ. So all the LZ fans sticking around. Which way is it going to go? He has the obvious advantage, but taking a look at the schedule, we have a halftime break till 7 o'clock. Live stream begins at 7 o'clock. So we're going to have a short break here, man, but under an hour. But just enough time to catch your breath, grab a bite, and we're back at it, man.
Well, this is an opportunity here for LZ to kind of build off of that momentum from last year. He had some great battles against some veterans. In this scenario, Dan Burkett has handed him an opportunity to get his first win of the 2021 season. Burkett having that incomplete, having to utilize a competition timeout. Most likely we'll find out about it later. I would assume that it is going to be some kind of mechanical problem, maybe a gear popping out, something along those lines. But now Adam LZ will take the lead against Dan Burkett.
All right. Dan Burkett warming up his tires, pulling up to the start line. Adam LZ in the LZ Manufacturing S15. Got to say, one of my favorite vehicles here on the grid. Dan Burkett, love the white nose on that Mark IV. Rad Industries, Gear Wrench, Toyota Supra. Dan Burkett, if you can recall, in that first run, shutting her down. So LZ with the advantage. LZ will lead. Let's see if he can keep it together and if we get an advancement. As long as he keeps it where the rubber meets the road, we will have a winner as Adam LZ rips up. Oh, and Dan Burkett shuts it down once again. But, Adam LZ swings wide as long as he keeps it. Like I said, rubber meets the road. That will be a deduction, but not an incomplete. So Adam LZ making his way through the course as long as he crosses the finish line. And Adam LZ, what are you doing, bro? Zero chill. How do the kids say? Shee! Wow. Adam, dude, what is your zero chill?
All right, let's explain this, Jared. So we know that Dan Burkett has an incomplete on his lead run. He also has an incomplete on his chase run from what we see here. Now, Adam LZ had to shut down his run because Dan Burkett in front of him had an incomplete, but then LZ does the same thing because he is, let's clarify. Is that a spin through the finish line? Is that what the judges are saying? I'm assuming that that's what it's going to be. And Ryan Lantane, can we open up your mic and let's talk through this a little bit just so we can explain it to the fans?
Yeah, it looked like Dan had some problems with turbo boost, and he tried to salvage it and come up for the second run, but clearly he's still having issues there. It looked like Adam LZ, we thought he was going to spin over the finish line.
Man.
Now, it comes down to if he did spin, that would give him an incomplete. Dan in the chase also had an incomplete, and then Dan had an incomplete on his lead run. So even if that was considered an incomplete, Adam LZ still gets the win because he got 3 incompletes to 1 kind of thing.
So he just made us and all his fans very nervous there at the end.
Yeah, very, very nervous. He probably got excited. Maybe he realized that Dan had problems behind him, and it just gave him a little bit of brain fog there. He got a little excited. That happens.
It does.
But he managed to hold it together and get through, so he will be going to
Ryan, thank you so much. Ryan Lantane, let's take a look at the bracket. We have a top 16, baby! There it is. Matt Field to be going against Chelsea Denofa. JTP versus Kazuya Taguchi. Vaughn Gittin Jr., defending champion, going against Dylan the Dozer Hughes. Ryan Tuerck versus a newcomer. Welcome, Eve Maya, to the top 16. Then on the other side of the bracket, Ryan, we got Frederick, the Norwegian, and Osbo going against Jeff Jones. Dean Carnage versus a newcomer, Brandon Sorenson. He is a rookie. He's going for it. Odie Bakshis versus Travis Reeder. And Adam LZ versus Jonathan Castro. Those are your top 16 drivers, Ryan. We'll be back here in about 45 minutes. So grab a bite, right? Awesome.
Yeah, looking forward to it. And we leave you with the second debut of the Formula Drift Skills Battle presented by Turn 14. Check it out if you're watching at home. We'll come right back after this and get into the top 16.
At 7 o'clock.
Correct.
At 7 o'clock. 45 minutes. Enjoy.